Well, hello there all you people, welcome to a new series I'm started. I recall about you because I've had all these plans for the channel, never got into doing them, naughty me man. And so I'm going to start doing it, and so I'm going to start this special series now. I'm not going to decide what to do, every day in the week's going to have a theme, and this might be a bit of a late upload, but Wednesdays, they're going to be set right for the retro. And what a better place to start than my favourite wireframe games for the ZX Spectrum. When I say favourite, I mean the favourites from my youth. So yeah, we're going to look into, I think it's going to be 3 games on this section. And before we actually get started, I'd like to point out Elite is not on this purely because I was not a fan of that game in my youth. It wasn't action based enough in my opinion. Obviously I know better nowadays. It's a game I absolutely love, and it is actually now probably my favourite Spectrum game, maybe. But I love all the games of it, although the third one isn't quite good. But that's maybe for a different episode. Oh, pardon me. So anyway, we got 3 games here. I like to point out I haven't also added Star Wars onto this because I could do a section on the 3 official Star Wars titles that actually came out on the ZX Spectrum, and quite frankly, as you'll see with the first game, I'm going to play in just a second, there's good reason as well from that point in this section. And so, let's start. And as you can see, to start off with, this is 3D Starstrike, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think this was one of those games that was designed to be a home version of the Star Wars arcade game, but Atari didn't award the license to these guys. They awarded them to Domark in the end, I think. But this is nothing more than the Star Wars arcade game with a few minor changes, such as your lasers overheat. It doesn't have any transition scenes between the different levels, and the end of the Death Star trench run is not the same as well, but as you can see, it is still essentially exactly the same as the Star Wars arcade game, apart from those few features. As you can see, you don't get any scene of going down into the Death Star. It just gives you a picture and goes straight into the surface of the Death Star one. But as you can see, for 48K Spectrum game, that's basically just doing the Star Wars arcade game. It actually runs pretty goddamn fast. Faster than the official arcade conversion from Domark. And for this reason, I actually place this slightly higher on my all-time Spectrum games, higher than the Domark version, because this actually runs at a higher frame rate and is actually pretty damn good. And so, as you can see, down into the trenches again, and unlike the Star Wars arcade game, because if you remember, the first trench, if you started off on the easiest level, didn't have any catwalks in it. This, as you can see, as well as having 4 starting stages, actually has catwalks in the Death Star trench run. But it's still a damn good game. As you can see, it runs pretty fast, even in the Death Star trench scene. And is actually very damn good. And I'm not 100% sure, I think these guys also made my all-time favourite ZX Spectrum game, which we'll get to later in this episode. And as you can see, now we're coming up, this is what the end of the Death Star trench scene is like in this game. As you can see, not quite the same, but for those who are interested, they did actually do a sequel to this game, which is absolutely fantastic. And if they combine the sequel of this with the game 3D Death Chase, another classic ZX Spectrum game, they would have had Atari could have actually done a very good Return of the Jedi game, because I've got to be honest, their arcade Return of the Jedi was, in my opinion, was not really that good. And 3D Death Chase does the the Endor forest chase scene actually much better than the isometric perspective. Pardon my lack of control of my English there, but yeah, it was actually done in the 3D perspective, and I think if they combined the sequel to this and just stuck 3D something to 3D Death Chase at the start of the game, it would have been a hell of a lot better. But nevertheless, it was, well, not my favourite game. It's okay-ish, but anyway, I'm going off track. So that was this is 3D Starstrike. As you can see, a very half decent Star Wars arcade game clone. And so I'm just going to leave you with the gameplay, and then we'll come back and I'll discuss the next two games, which will also double as tutorials, and I'll explain what I've done that on the actual individual games themselves. But for now, enjoy this quite funky wireframe gameplay. And for part 2 of my top 3 wireframe games for the ZX Spectrum, this is at Dogfight 2187. It's actually a dual play game, if you like, and I hurriedly went straight into the gameplay there. A bit on this recorded playthrough. The idea of this game is basically that there's a gateway between our universe and another universe, and these aliens are coming over through this gateway to try and conquer our universe, and you have to go about and find all these little parts that will create a machine that will close the gateway. You have to collect 9 parts in total, and as you can see on the left there, I'm playing a one-player game. I was just repairing and refueling the ship there, and if you look just under the left hand screen, and I'll just go from left to right explaining what the things are there. And that first thing on the right, on the left should I say, where you got a little square over those double lines, that square is actually where the gateway is, and that's basically your compass. Next to that you got what is obviously a radar using some sort of hybrid of the elite system. You got a timer to the right of that, counting down how long you've actually got to close the gate. And if you go to the level just below that on the left, you can see that tells you how many parts for this machine you've got. You can carry 2 at a time. Next to that, and that little red gauge, that's your damage meter. Next to that, with the picture that keeps changing, that's actually the enemies you're shooting at the current time. And there's a little pixelated thing on it that tells you where the weakest point of the ship is. To the right of that, that little purple gauge, that's how much energy you've got left. And next to that, you got that little bullet type thing, and as you can see, I'm refueling and repairing there. I'll get to what's actually going on there in a little bit, but you can got a choice between 2 weapons with that. One's a laser and one's a photon torpedo. Now, if you want to play this game, I should actually point out that I would, as soon as possible, switch to just using the laser, because if you're using the photon torpedoes, it really does use up your energy really fast, and you don't really want to do that. And the reason for that is you've got to find these planets that have the rings on them so you can repair and refuel. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any way to actually find it. Find these, to navigate to a sector to actually use those rings. So pretty much, as far as I can tell, you're actually going to just come across those by chance. Another way you can actually refuel and repair is if you get just one of the things for the machine and take it straight to the gateway. You will actually get your ship repaired and refueled doing that as well. So that's probably your best option because it's easier to navigate. And right, and what basically you go about, there's 252 sectors within the game, and there's something like 250 parts of for the machine you can make, but you only need 9 of them. But the parts only become visible in the sectors once you've destroyed all the enemies within the sector, and 9 times out of 10 you don't even know you've actually collected the piece. Because sometimes what I found is like just there, you couldn't even see what the piece is, and as you can see in the bottom left, a little part, it stopped flashing and a little part coming up. I've now picked up 1 piece of the machine, and I'm actually getting quite damaged there, aren't I? Energy's dropping a bit, and oh, by the looks of it, I'm at the middle section at the gateway now. So if you collect just 1 piece, you can carry 2 at the most, and then jump to the section on that top left of the readout. You'll see now that little square is actually dead centre. That's where the place is. and you just have to destroy all the enemies in the area to get access to it. And as you can see there, there's one square missing from the grid, and it's fully refueled my ship. So if you're looking to refuel, that's probably my best advice. Is if you go a piece, just go to the centre, and it's a refuel and repair once it's accepted whatever you got in your cargo hold. Now, something that's in that didn't put in instructions, at least not on the instructions on World of Spectrum, because I hadn't played this game since I was about 15, and so I had a little bit of trouble remembering the controls for it. And to jump to a sector, what you need to do is hold down the fire button and then press left, right, or up and down. And it does tell you that in the instructions, but what it doesn't tell you is that the faster you're travelling when you do the jump means that you will actually jump more than one sector. And so what I've actually found is best is to actually slow right down and then do the jump. And as you can see, I've just reappeared, but because I didn't have any parts in me, in my ship, then it wasn't really going to refuel. Or maybe it did, I don't know, that's still pretty high. But anyway, and so yeah, you have to collect 9 of those parts and put them all in that area with that grid, so it shuts the portal to stop the aliens coming through. And you have 30 minutes to do it. So it's actually a good game if you want to have a quick blast. And as you can see, there's 2 screens. That's because you actually have a 2-player mode of this, and there's 2 ways of playing it. The game gives you an option of cooperative and versus, and the cooperative is probably the fairest, but the versus has a really peculiar thing where you're both basically trying to close the gateway, the same gateway, should I say, but there's the winner is the person who actually puts the last piece in it. And so in theory you got 9 squares to fill up, and you can basically, one player could fill up 8 of the pieces, but if you've unpicked up 1 piece and you've put the 9th piece in, it makes you the winner. And I don't think that's actually quite fair. I think I should have actually done that, whoever had the most pieces, but that's just my thoughts. And to be honest, I wasn't sure never to put this in part of my top 3 to start with, but when I was playing this, I'll go on, I was actually getting really into it again. It actually plays very well for a Spectrum game, and while the game isn't exactly deeper than a lot of Spectrum games out there, this is maybe something maybe a developer could go, hey, that could actually work well as an update, because the basis for a really good modern day game is actually there, in my opinion. And but you could do so much more with it, especially with today's technologies. So yeah, that's Dogfight 2187. Split player 2 play mode available. I haven't got anyone to play this with, so obviously I've just played it on my own, but some people prefer it joint player. I personally like it single player anyway, purely because of the versus issue. Cooperative, it's not too bad. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you with the gameplay again, and I'll come back for the final game of this ZX Spectrum wireframe top 3. So I hope you enjoy this game. I hope it encourages you to try it. So yep, I'll catch you in a bit. Okay, so can you guess what my number one ZX Spectrum wireframe game is? Well, this is it, Starglider, the 1 to 8K version. Now, let's just sit back and listen to this amazing 1 to 8K music for now. Okay, that's enough of that. And this is Starglider. This is. I'm always in two minds on whether this is my favourite ZX Spectrum game. I think it still is, really, with Elite coming a close second. And as you can see, I'm redefining the keys here. Now, I really do suggest playing this if you can on emulation, because I'm actually using Spectaculator on this. And if you do that and select the input to emulate the Sinclair joystick interface, and then define keys, you can actually assign your individual functions onto your joypad. And this game really does benefit from being played on a joypad. You have to be careful though, because I'm using the Xbox 360 joypad, and as you saw there on my first attempt of defining the keys, that there was a couple of the keys are the same as each other, and as you can see, the game has actually started now. And first lesson is how to dock it into your base. Now this is what your bases look like. They're like little yellow door stops, and I did a terrible job there, but yeah, they look like yellow pieces of cheese or door stops, whatever you want to class them. And what you need to do, what I tend to find is the best way is, usually I would clear the area of enemies first, but seeing as I was using this as a tutorial as well, so yeah, you go as low as you can. And when going to the base, I'll actually go through what's actually on the screen. And I don't know how that missed. And there I am trying to be some sort of expert on Starglider, never mind. But hey, things happen. You know, I am doing this voice over after recording the game as well. So it's nice to look back at some of these playthroughs. But as I said, what I tend to find best is go as low as you can, ease up to the base, and then just goes up. And when it's facing you, just go straight in like that, and then you're going to hear some very impressive speech.
Docking complete.
Impressive anyway. And I'm just pointing to the height gauge there. Those are your missiles that you get whenever you dock into a base. Um, those two yellow bars there on the left, they're both your shield and your ship health. That's your energy readout. I was meant to be. I thought that was where the super missile goes, which is exclusive to the 128K version on the 8 bits, but it doesn't actually go there. Those are your coordinates. That's your radar area that tells you where all the enemies are within a certain proximity to you. And when you're flying about on the top there, you've got like your heading, so it tells you where to go. And now I'm going to go and I'll talk you through some of the enemies of the game. These were mine. They're not much of a problem, but when you get to take down the Starglider, I suggest you actually take all these down beforehand, because the game will take the Starglider in the path of these, and they do become a nuisance if you've got any left while chasing the Starglider. And this is another mine. It's same again. They're not much of a nuisance unless you have to go after the Starglider, but those actually give you more damage. This is obviously a throwback, because this was actually also log 3D Starstrike, intended to be originally a home version of The Empire Strikes Back. You can now take those down with a missile. These are the energy towers. You don't shoot those. You use those to replenish your ship with energy. There's more on that in the game. That is the Starglider drone, a pain in the backside that cannot only be taken down with missiles. And yeah, they have a habit of flying in the way whenever you're chasing the main Starglider. These guys ain't much to worry about. They'll just fire a laser at you. A couple of hits with a laser and that's it. You're pretty much safe. Um, I'm pretty sure I was thinking of Battle Zone when I was doing this one, but again, these fire missiles, yeah, they're not much of a threat. Again, a few hits with the laser and you're good. These are the missiles that get fired at you. You can shoot them down on the, well, you can on the Spectrum 128K version anyway. Uh, these are a pain in the backside. Not because they're hard, well armoured already, but because they're just so hard to hit. I'm always moving about all over the place. Again, something for I'm assuming I was messing about with the idea of The Empire Strikes Back, because this game was originally using an engine that was going to use for the Star Wars arcade game, which, as I said in the previous game, was awarded to Darmark. And these, like the other one, are the same again. Not particularly powerful, but awkward to hit because they move about a lot. These guys can be a pain in the backside. You can take them out with a laser, but they take a fair few hits and they have a habit of firing missiles at you. Um, Again, these guys, pain in the backside, very nippy. These guys will fire 3 missiles at you at a time. You can take them out easy enough. Few hits of the laser. These are a pyramid launcher. They're not much of a threat unless you get close to them, and those guys fire these. And they're not that hard on the Spectrum 128 version. You can always go up high. I've yet to come across one of these in the game. I'm assuming it comes in on one of the later levels. So I don't really know how to deal with those just yet. And this is the Starglider one that can use the first level. It takes two missiles. Every level after that, it takes 3. And now I'm assuming we're going back into launch mode. I was checking. Oh no, what was I checking? Oh yeah, in case you're wondering what this is actually the sixth attempt at recording this footage because something went wrong and I was just making sure it was still capturing. My apologies about that. But anyway, as you can see, press L to launch and they will start going into destroying enemies. Now then, as I said, this was originally going to be a conversion of the Star Wars arcade game, and it wasn't made by the same guys as the 3D Starstrike games, and that was real time. This was developed by Argonaut Software, and I'll talk a little bit more about that during this playthrough. Now, there's a reason for me killing these enemies around here. It's because the base is there, and while they're not going to attack the base, there are enemies in the game that will attack the base, but I'll explain more about them when we get to them, because they're not actually in that list of enemies. But basically, if you're low on ship health and stuff like that, which you need to go to a base to get your ship repaired and things like that, and you're waiting to actually an appropriate time to actually dock into the base, these little enemies around the base can be a nuisance because they'll just take pot shots and they will actually kill you if you're in a desperate situation while waiting for docking. So that's pretty much the idea of what I'm doing here. And again, as you can gather, those little gun turrets obviously left over from when I was using this engine to do the Star Wars arcade game, which that didn't, as I said, that didn't get the license, so they changed their conversion into this and actually came out with a pretty damn good game. It originally came out on the 16 bits and was they used a very good advertising technique. There was a Saturday morning kids show and they had the special game feature, and on the first season of that show they actually used Starglider and Argonaut, God bless their son, they'd actually programmed a special version for the TV show. I can't remember what the rules of it was, but yeah, it was a very good marketing technique, and the game sold well as a result. I should point out I launched the missile there. You need to do that to take out those walkers. Anyway, as I was saying, and originally it was for the 16-bit machines. And I probably will get round to playing the 16-bit version of this game once I get good enough at it, because the difficulty level compared to the 8-bit versions, because as you can see the 8-bit version is not going to run quite as fast as the 16-bit versions, which really do have a very high bit rate compared to these 8-bit versions. But of all the 8-bit versions, this is probably the best version I've ever come across. To now, and we just come up to the energy towers now. I'm just going to explain show you how you refuel your energy. As I mentioned before, it's indicated by that yellow bar on the right of the dashboard. Again, like with the base, what I suggest doing is destroy all the enemies in the area, because they will take pot shots at you while you recharge. And what you need to do is, again, like with the base, go as low as possible. And it'll notify you when you're actually able to, when it's actually recharging the ship. And on this first level, you haven't really got to do anything to activate. So there is a bit of a problem in the game where sometimes it won't recharge, but it's very rare, and it's usually because you flew off the power. Let's call them power rails for now. And you can't. You have to go through. Start doing it through from between those two towers. If you try and go just land on those power relays from the other way, it won't recharge. You have to go through them through the front two towers, skimming across the ground. I'll just take out this little guy here. And as you can see there's a Starglider one. Cheekily teasing me. and it just get lined up again. Just give us as you can see there, I've started reloading. Sometimes it does actually do that where just before you go in it might start charging. It's a godsend when it does that, because then you can use it as a little bit of defense from anything on the other side. And once you've filled up your energy like it has there, you can pretty much fly off and go about your business killing other things again. Now the people are saying, what's the point of this game? Now the point of this game is really mainly to destroy the Starglider, but what you'll find is that in order to progress to the next level, you don't necessarily have to do that. What you need to do is, once you get 10 to 10,000 points, it'll more than likely move you on to the next stage. If you destroy the Starglider though, it does actually give you the maximum points achievable for a target, which is 5,000 points. So obviously, if you got something like 7,000 and you destroy the Starglider, it's moving on to the next level, which is why most people think to progress to the next level you have to destroy the Starglider. You don't. Some levels you might have to destroy the Starglider and reach 10,000, but that doesn't happen until very far on into the game. And I should also point out as well, in fact I know it happens during this playthrough because I do actually get onto the second level in this, is that out of those three tails you'll notice one has actually got a top on it. Now if the tails are already pouring out those energy beams, don't destroy the top of that tower, because what'll happen is it'll just stop supplying power. However, on some levels you have to shoot the top off it to activate it, so think about it as sort of like an on and off switch. So if it's on, don't touch it. If it's off, then shoot the top of it off. And now on to the next bit of what happens in the game is, unlike the 48k version of the Spectrum, because there are differences, for instance the 128k music, there's speech, there's slightly different enemies, and of course the 128k sound, but you also get missions as well. Now the missions will activate once you've reached a minimum score, and there are basically 4 missions. One of them you'll only ever have to do once in the entire game, and that's for a review scanner. Again, as I said, that's exclusive to the 128k Spectrum version. On the 8-bit versions anyway. I'm not sure if all this stuff is in the 16-bit versions. I'm assuming there would be. And yeah, you got the review scanner, and there's another mission to pick up an energy pod, and for a short time that means that your energy will not run out. It's like its own power generator, built power generator on the ship, and supplies a certain amount of energy, and then once it's used up all that energy, then you'll start running out of the energy on your gauge again. As you can see, I'm there chasing the Starglider, and what I've actually found is actually best, if you, by the way, if you want to destroy the Starglider, is to go, it's usually between halfway up to your halfway to 3/4 of your maximum altitude, and just below 3/4 of your actual speed, and you'll be travelling faster than it, but not so fast that you drastically overshoot it, and gives you a great deal of control. And what I tend to do is go up as fast as I can, launch the missile, and that's going to miss there. Never mind. Yeah, the missiles, as I said, are guided as well. Each one has a time before it automatically detonates. The super missile actually has a longer time you can actually fly it. But as I was saying, yeah, you got the energy pod on a mission. You've also got the super missile, which you have to pick up from a mission, and then there's this other mission where it's actually give you the coordinates to an enemy that's coming to destroy your bases. And I recommend you do actually deal with those, because the other ones you don't necessarily need, but you need to take care of those, because if you don't destroy them, they're going to destroy a base, and you're going to end up one base short, which means one player's less to actually get your ships repaired, and one less supply for the missiles. And as you can see, back to the gameplay, just going about shooting stuff, and I'm just basically going to keep playing like this now, I think, until the missions come up. And when they'll do, I'll explain it. So for now, I'm just going to stop talking, let the game play until it gets to the mission section. So I'll speak to you again soon.
Docking complete.
And here I am again, having another crack at the Starglider. As you can see, I'm using the same method again, just over halfway, just gently creeping up onto the Starglider as close as possible. I'm going to fire the missile now. Direct hit, and as you can see, it is now flashing different colours. That means it needs one more hit. And just going to pop into the base here. And something I forgot to mention with the missions is that even though the missions are to upgrade your ship, you do get points for completing those as well, not just the mission where you have to destroy the rocket launcher. And yeah, I said I was going to talk a little bit about Argonaut as well.
Docking complete.
And while I don't know a lot about the Argonaut software, they are the company actually responsible for the Super Effects chip that Nintendo used on the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom cartridges. So that was essentially a big part of developing the first Star Fox game. Or with if you live in the UK like us, then we called it Starwing, and Star Fox 64 in our country became Lilac Wars, as I'm sure you mature gamers already know. But yeah, and so you know, they've actually got quite a good heritage behind them. And am I going after the Starglider? Do I actually get the Starglider on this section? I can't remember if this is one where I miss again. But yeah, actually, I think for some reason the Starglider on this playthrough, on this level, really does tease me a bit. I think now, I remember how the game was playing. As you can see again, up to the correct height. Actually, a little bit high. So yeah, it looks like the correct height is 2 notches over height, halfway for the height, and it's usually about 1 notch under 3/4 in terms of acceleration. Although I'm just getting up a bit,
Missile launched.
and hopefully I'll hit this. Yeah, it cuts to a replay. As you can see, I got 5,000 points for that. And now any minute now the missions should start popping up. I think you have to go over 4,500 for the first mission to start popping up. I did mess up the missions, if I recall properly, on this playthrough. But I'll explain the fast and easy way to actually get to them. Here we go. Missions are popping up. You don't get those on the 48k Spectrum version. It really is just a case of destroy the enemies and destroy the Starglider if you wish to get those 10,000 points. I'm not taking anything away from the 48k version because that too is also a very good game, though it's not as quite as in depth as this, as I'm sure. Yes, the 16-bit versions might be a little bit more in depth of this. I don't know, because while I have got the 16-bit versions, I am absolutely hopeless at it because you can't use the strategies I use in this with terms of how slow you can actually take the game. Because if you do things like just stop to try and take out an enemy, you got so much stuff flying at you from other directions. You last about at the most 30 seconds, I think. But yeah, it's the 16-bit versions are very, very tough games. As you can see now, I'm frantically going about trying to find a base. One trick I have found useful is to have a pen and paper ready with regard to the bases, because then you can actually jot down your coordinates for where the bases are, because they do change each level as well. So that might be a bit of an idea. It also might be an idea when you're first starting out as well, just for the missions.
Missile launched.
Oh, that was a waste of missile, wasn't it? What was you thinking of, Mima? You stupid boy. Anyway, oh, did I get it? No. And that structure there, that's one of the areas that you have to pick up, say, your missile or your energy pop, and there's the base. The wireframe piece of cheese that you have to fly into. You can see, just steady it up. And let's see what this mission is. Usually to start with it's just a pardon the rear view scanner. Let's say it's the energy pod and bearing 323. Like I say, take down a piece of paper.
Docking complete.
And jot down the coordinates. When it comes to these missions, the best thing to do is as soon as you leave the base, just stop dead. you don't even have to take notice of the north, south, and west and that. Just use the counter at the top, aim it at whatever the direction you need to go is. In this case, 323. If you're usually within one, you can usually get away with it. And I think I actually messed up on this one. Oh no, here we go. I'm not very good at picking these energy pods up, or the super missile for that factor. It's not so much of an issue with the energy pod, but as you'll see when I fly through to pick it up, I actually end up crashing into the structure as well. But you do get 1,000 points for completing the mission. And so that's pretty much how you do those missions. So jot down the direction you've got to go. That's the main thing. If you want, just in case you do get lost, jot down the coordinates of where the actual item is you need to pick up. And so if you get lost, at least you know where you got to head to in terms of coordinates. Because if you don't, you'll just be one flying about, and you could easily get yourself killed. As you can see, I'm getting pretty close now to 10,000. It's just dropped down to a satisfactory level, just about skimming the floor. No, don't. Ooh. It is possible to crash into that, by the way, so you do be careful. Especially if your ship's low on shield and that. And I'll pick up a missile, nice one. Just to point out that you can't fly straight back into the base to pick up a second missile. You can fly to the other base that's on the surface, because there tends to be 2 per level, and that'll give you a missile. But if you've just picked up a missile from a base, then it takes a certain amount of time for another missile to appear whenever that dock at that base. But you can still use that base to repair your ship. So it's still worth docking into those bases if you need to, just for the repair reasons. As you can see, I'm just flying about now, just killing stuff, just to get that required 10,000. As you can see, they can be a nuisance. Because while you're trying to take them out, they'll fire a missile at you, and you can't exact. Every time they fire a missile, it takes 1 hit off them. So, what is essentially 5 to 6 hits can sometimes come across as, 10 hits. So they are a bit of a nuisance. And there you go. I took him out for 800 points, and it's put me on level 2, where you get more enemies. Everything now as well requires 1 more hit. And it does give you plenty of refuel and repair your ship at the start of each level. So if you're low, and there is a Starglider drone being a nuisance. Another walker, there's a Starglider 1. And I should point out as well that if you destroy the Starglider at the end of the level, and you say you got 9,000, so you're 14,000 points, thus knocking you over onto the 10,000. To get past the second level, you still only have to reach 20,000. So if you do it that way, you're already nearly halfway to completing that level anyway. So that might be something you want to keep in mind as well when playing the game. And these guys, they don't fire at you on the first level, but they do on those. As you can see, they're firing those Egron rockets that apparently it's unstable at high altitudes. And oh, I still haven't picked up the review scanner yet. Not allowed to give me one on this level. And I should point out that on this playthrough I didn't play it until I died. I just got an hour's worth of game playing, and then I used the save state because I was actually doing quite well in this playthrough, so I'll save this as a save state so I can continue it at a later point. Unlike its sequel, Starglider 2, it has no definitive end of the game as well. It just goes level, 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 level again. And I'm pretty sure, is this the one I was actually thinking at this point? There you go, mission due. Just as I leave, gives me a mission. Could have given it me just before I docked, but let's see which mission this is. This might be the review scanner. It might be the Ergon rocket launcher.
Docking complete.
Oh no, this is the super missile.
Docking complete.
So again, like last time, stop dead. This is also another reason why I suggest destroying all the enemies from around the base, because when you get the missions, they can interfere with your direction, especially the bigger enemies like the walkers and that. You're just getting lined up to complete one of these missions, and a walker comes along and steps on you and like sends you 45 degrees facing the other way, which can be a bit annoying. Anyway, I see my energy pods run out as well, so I'm slowly running out, using up my energy again. I was trying my hardest not to crash into the structure on this, but there you go. And as you can see, just to the bottom right of the radar, the missile's actually turned up. You can only carry one of these at a time. It's one of those missions that will turn up occasionally throughout the game. So you can use that missile, and you will get a mission again later in the game to pick up another missile desire. And they're different from the other missiles. They have a slightly higher damage rate, which comes in useful later on in the game, but they also have a longer flight time. So like the other one, you can control where they're flying to once you've launched them, but you have longer to hit your target. And as on the 16-bit versions, the control is quite a bit difficult. I will try and upload some gameplay of the 16-bit version at some point. And I just take out these mines again. Although I am actually curious with regards, because like I said, this was another game that was attempting to be started off live, should I say, as a version of the Star Wars arcade game. I think this is when Atari were looking for people to license the conversions to. As I said, on the 3D Starstrike game, Domark eventually won the license for the 3 arcade conversions from Atari. But I'm curious to see if the game actually ran like this on as a Star Wars game, because it is a little bit slow in terms of frame rate, and if it ran as slow as this, yeah, the problem. Atari probably did make the right decision, because if the Star Wars game played like this, it wouldn't work that well. It works okay with a game like this, and because it's not as fast paced the game, although it is on the 16-bit version. But on the 8-bit versions, it is a slower game. Let's see what mission this is. And before starting, as you can see, there's no actual power lines coming from the tower, so you have to go up to the tower and shoot that top off it. As I said earlier, if there were power lines coming from that, as you can see, the power started to flow. If there are power lines coming off it, though, like I said, don't shoot that top off, because it'll turn them off and you won't get them back on until you've completed the level, which is easier said than done if you haven't got anywhere where you can actually re-energise your ship. So unless you get lucky and you get one of those pod missions, I really wouldn't suggest doing it, in all honesty. You know, the Starglider goading me. Goddamn oversized pigeon. And again, looks like looks like I'm just going to refuel before flying on to find the next base. Whoops. Oh, I had the image from Cybermorph then on the Jaguar. Where did you learn how to fly? Yeah, this is a much better game than Cybermorph. Much better game. And I know it looks a bit jerky, but trust me, this game is really good fun, and it's actually impressive that I was actually able to get this on the Spectrum, in my opinion, anyway. Oh, good shooting, me, man. That's a hard shot. And like I says, with these mines, I do like to get them out as quick as possible, because if you're chasing after the Starglider one, it does have a habit of flying a route that actually goes along those mines. So if you take them out, they're not going to be an nuisance to you when you're trying to take out the Starglider one. As you can see there, that's exactly why I said try and clear the area of any enemies, because as you can see, I'm waiting for it to turn round and they're just taking pot shots at me, taking a lot of energy off me. Well, not energy, but giving damage. And there you go. This is the only mission you'll get that's actually to destroy something. And that's what you're going to destroy.
Docking complete.
As far as I know, lasers won't actually destroy that. You've got to use a missile. And there it is. I do occasionally see if I can actually
Missile launched.
there you go. You get 1500 for this destroying that, so good points, good times, adds a little bit of a change from the usual gameplay of flying about, destroying nothing, actually giving you a proper objective. But that's pretty much it for now. I'll come back at the end of the video, and there is another mission that will probably show up pretty soon, where I'll pick up the long range scanner. As per usual, it's the same rules, just take note of the direction it wants you to go to. If you want, take a note of the actual thing's coordinates, and then once you leave, just stop immediately outside the base, point in the direction it's told you the thing is, and just fly there, and you should just come straight across it. If it's close, you can get away with 1 degree either side, but yeah, good fun game. My favourite all-time ZX Spectrum game, not just my favourite vector graphics game on the Spectrum. I hope you enjoyed it, and in case you're wondering, the reason why I decided to give an explanation of what I'm doing in the game and what certain things are and how you're supposed to play it is because whenever I've looked online to see what other people have thought about this game, no one seems to know how to play it, and I've always been saying, well, what's the actual point of the game? What am I supposed to do? And I never go off the first level. So if you know anybody who wants to know how to play the game, point them to this video, because you know, I've given an explanation there, and even if they can't understand my explanation, because I know the way sometimes I explain things and it gets a bit confusing with the way I talk, they can still just watch the video and say, oh right, okay, yeah. And so I hope that helps those guys out. But I'll come back at the end of the video. But for now, enjoy the rest of this gameplay. I'm pretty sure I do pick up the review scanner at some point in this playthrough. As you can see there, I'm turning on another set of towers. But for now, I'll come back at the end of the video, and I'll see you then.
Docking complete. Docking complete. Docking complete. Docking complete. Missile launched. Missile launched. Missile launched.
And as you can see there, yes, I'm back by the way. As you can see there, I didn't have to destroy the Starglider to get on to level 3. And so while the point of the game is basically to destroy the Starglider, it isn't necessary to continue to the next level. And yeah, so I'm basically going to leave it there for now. I'm just going to leave this gameplay playing for you wonderful people. And I hope this has been helpful for those people who have been wondering what the hell you're supposed to do in this game. Unfortunately, I had this game when it first came out in the mid-80s. And I never forgot once what I was supposed to do in it. It's one of the few games, unlike Dogfight 2187, where I really did have to look into what I was supposed to do in the game and was fortunate enough to find some basic instructions and work out a few of the other things off my own back as well. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I know, and I'm pretty sure now I'm going to dock and save state the game so I can continue it a bit later. So as you can see, that was nearly 1 hour's worth of playing, and when you consider that I'm only just at the end of level 2, that's a pretty damn long playtime for a ZX Spectrum game, because usually I think the biggest games can be pretty much completed within 1 hour with 1 or 2 exceptions, but this game, I remember when I was younger, I'd go on to something like level 5 and the game was just still getting harder and harder and harder. And when you think about it, it's that's half hour per level. And so yeah, this game gives you a lot of money's worth as well, because you go just like with Elite, you got a storybook and all kinds of things. And as I said, it was a featured game on the kids' game show where they could actually win prizes by trying to achieve certain things in the game. I think actually that the player was actually blindfolded and a friend had to tell them left, right, fire and all that kind of thing. Can't remember what the actual name of the show was. Maybe it was going live or something like that. But I'm not sure. But anyway, those are my top 3 ZX Spectrum wireframe games. Ended with my all-time favourite wireframe games. Like I say, I do like this slightly more than Elite, but as I said, Elite was never put on this game because it was my top 3 from my childhood. My top 3 now isn't quite the same as this. Elite is obviously number 2 now, with this at number 1. And I don't know, I'd have to play some more wireframe games because I'm wondering if there's actually better than Dogfight 2187 out there. But anyway, and so if there's any retro games you'd like me to try, then leave something in the comments below. If you liked it, then click like, comment, and subscribe. If you know someone who might benefit from my instructions on this, then by all means go for it. Let them know, and they can watch, and maybe they'll go, oh yeah, maybe I'll give that game a try again because it's worth it. And again, not with Dogfight 2084, I really do think they should put together an upload to this. But anyway, I'll catch you later.